So let's start from the last one. Do you think that would be too heavy a burden on INEC if INEC is to conduct all elections in the country as people are requesting?
Well, we have no official position about that, but going back to history, up till 1999, INEC, or the Federal Executive Election Management Body, conducted all elections. Even in the transitional elections leading up to our democracy, return to democracy in 1999, INEC conducted local government elections and all other elections. But it's a constitutional matter. If the constitution is amended and gives that responsibility to the commission, well, we'll have no choice but to carry out that mandate, yes.
He also raised the fact, I mean, you say that it is some of the things that we have asked for is unfounded. For instance,
in law.
Exactly, in law, okay, you're being more specific now, is unfounded in law because the law doesn't permit you to vote anyway. You have to vote at a polling unit.
Absolutely.
But then, you know, we have seen constant amendments to the law. Why isn't this part of the amendments being proposed? That we're not saying that, you know, you should be able to vote for your state governor or, you know, vote in a state election if you live in the FCT, for instance. But if you have moved from, say, Lagos to Abuja, shouldn't you be able to participate in the local elections there using your voter card?
Well, again, you have to look at the legal framework. You're saying in normative what ought to be. If that is what Nigerians want, I'm sure the laws will be amended accordingly. But in certain elections, like a governorship election, for example, and people are saying that I live in Abuja, I should be able to vote in my governorship election in Sokoto or in Kaduna, anywhere else. People are saying that, requesting for that. Some people, whether they form a critical mass that will influence the National Assembly in amending the Constitution, I don't know. But we should be talking to the National Assembly, people, the senators and the representatives about that, and maybe the executive to introduce an executive bill to that effect, if that is what Nigerians genuinely are concerned about. But you know that in a governorship election, for example, not only do you cannot be declared winner unless you score the majority of lawful votes and have a spread. So which local government, which area would you want your vote to be cast upon? And there's a trust issue. People outside of the locality where they vote, will they accept such results? If that's what the law says and people want it, so be it.
Mr. Osaze-Uzi, when we look at the 2015 general election, we know obviously the difference was about, in the presidential election, about 2 million votes.
2.4.
2 point, thereabouts, yes, approximately. Now, given that, we have now seen, of course, in Kano, there was 2 million votes. Right now, the PDP is coming out and saying, look, this underage voting can swing the election in 2019 if we're not careful, given that in the Kano state elections recently there were 4.975 million voters with an undisclosed number of underage voters as well. Now, you've sent your screening committee there. How might you implement whatever findings come out of that screening exercise moving forward?
Well, first of all, I don't know whether 4.9 million people voted in the Kano state local government elections. I think the total number of registered people.
Voters,
yes,
that's
good.
correct,
so
yes.
yes, so I wouldn't know the percentage of people who actually voted, and certainly if there are underage people, we don't know the percentages of that. But we will not want to comment or preempt the findings of the committee that has been set up to look at those issues. But we assure Nigerians that we will try as best as we can within our own powers to implement whatever recommendations they come up with that affect our operations, as long as they don't involve an amendment to the law.
Without being speculative, yes. Going back to the 2015 elections, where we know there are verified cases of underage voting in a place like Kano, what kind of strategy can be put in place is really where I'm going, to ensure that underage voters are not voting in 2019. That's really what I'm asking.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not too sure. I agree that there are verified cases of underage voting in Kano in 2015. I don't think so. There were lots of speculations in social media, but no mainstream media gave us things. Even now, I'm still waiting to see clips from mainstream media about underage. I saw photographs in social media. So that distinction has to be drawn. I did not see any report on channels where your crew saw underage voting, for example. And I know that you had correspondence on ground, and I know that lots of you covered a lot of, you traversed the country actually.
Well, we'll take a moment now. INEC says they're also doing something about vote buying. They say they're cooperating with EFCC. We'll like to find out the details in just a moment. Please stay with us. Mr. Oluwale Osaze-Uzi is still with us in the studio. Your closing moment with us. Now, how does INEC intend to cooperate with the EFCC to curb vote buying?
Well, they're different in different ways. It's not just vote buying, it's also campaign finance, sources of funding. The law is there that you can spend the maximum they can spend. So if you spend more than what you're supposed to spend and your sources of income are questionable, then the EFCC comes in. But they are much better in tracking movements of funds and movements of money. So this is part of the cooperation, not just with EFCC, but all law enforcement agencies. In vote buying, if you have unaccounted money on you on election day, for example, either the police or the EFCC or the security agencies might come so that they know the source of your money and the purpose for which it is it's being used for.
Well, are we going to see EFCC officials at the polling units then?
We've not reached that stage. I don't think so. I don't think they have a manpower to deal with that. There are other security agencies that we're cooperating with as well.
Well, we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Luwale Osaze Uzi is the Director of Voter Education at INEC. It's back to you, Gimba.
Thank you, Mark. Well, Mr. Emmanuel Mark is still with us. He's of the National Chairman, National Transformation Party. What would be your own thoughts with regards if EFCC were to participate in partnership with INEC to try to see that we begin to check especially how election funding is being addressed? What would be your words?
I personally see it as a very questionable matter, because if you look at election campaigns in Nigeria, the president, more or less in my view, has started campaigning. You visited Nasarawa recently and you see the mammoth crowds that came out to visit him at the rally point where he made speeches. Those things cost money, serious money, okay? When the National Assembly sets a maximum expenditure of, say, 1 billion, you will be shocked that you've not even had rallies in 2 states and you spent 1 billion. So by that singular act of restricting without knowledge election campaign funds, you can actually clip the wings of the opposition parties. Because for the incumbent, there's no way to monitor how much they are spending. That's a fact. Just the elections are coming. Just the newspaper publications, the television, you know how much you pay for a political advert or whatever kind of advert on channels. Let the elections begin, let the full campaigns begin, and you see just for the incumbent how many of those they will place. Who checks how much they would spend? Now, if you're talking about money you spent on the actual day of election, where people line up and somewhere in the background somebody is giving 5,000, 2,000, I agree that EFCC and the police should arrest all such, or as giving bread or such on the election day. Do you understand? During campaigns, you can decide to do whatever you want. But on election day, coming around the election vicinity and sharing money, it's my approval. I approve, we approve that such things be arrested and those people prosecuted. But I do not agree that you limit the campaign funds for election. Because if we can take the whole of The Guardian to campaign for all our different candidates, it's money we're spending. You cannot put a limit on it.
That's with the SDP.
Well, with SDP or with any other party.
Okay, that's a good place to let it rest. Emmanuel Mock, I want to thank you so much indeed. And you say you'll be with the SDP?
Well, a lot of our people are going to join, want to work with the LDP, yes.
Thank you so much indeed for sharing your
PDP
thoughts.
has chosen its candidates already as it is, has decided where they are coming from. We want to give Nigeria more choices.
Thank you so much indeed, Emmanuel Mock, for talking to us here on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
And that's how it's been from here in Lagos. Thank you so much indeed for watching. I'm Gimba Umar.
Thank you. I'm Maukwe Ogun Yusuf.
Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm Ajuri Ingilale.
Have a good day.